Hey everybody, it's Debbie O'Neill of Scrap Me Quick Designs, and I want to talk today about the new Cricut Maker Machine that's coming out on August the 20th and show you in Design Space some of the amazing projects that you're going to be able to cut out as part of the sewing function of the Cricut Maker Machine. Now, you will still need a sewing machine, but the Cricut Maker is going to cut the patterns out for you and mark them for you so that it'll make it so much easier and faster for you to be able to get those sewing projects made. So let's talk about how do you find those. So I am in my Design Space account and I'm on my home screen and I can scroll down, and right here Cricut has a sneak peek at Cricut Maker sewing projects. Okay, so we can see more. There's about 50, a little bit over 50 projects already loaded in Design Space, so you can go ahead and start taking a look at those, and there'll be more added. There's several hundred more that'll be added between now and the end of the year. Now, for these sewing patterns, you will notice a couple of things. One, there are some that have the little green A on them, and that means that those sewing patterns are included in Cricut Access Library. Yay! So if you have a Cricut Access member, you will not be charged to use those patterns. Thank you, Cricut. Nice. And then you will notice that there are some that have words on the top of them up here, and it says Simplicity. Simplicity is a long-standing pattern provider in the sewing community, and they have partnered with Cricut to provide patterns for our Design Space accounts. And so if it is a Simplicity pattern, it'll let you know that up here. And then there's another partner for sewing patterns, and that is Riley Blake Designs. And Riley Blake makes beautiful, they have a lot of quilting patterns, and so Riley Blake is the other vendor that you'll see the names on here, so you'll know those. And you can see here, I'm just scrolling through. So not only are we talking about fabric, we're talking about felt projects. Okay, so you will now be able to cut fabric and felt without adding any fusible webbing on the back, and all you will need is the material and the pink fabric mat and the rotary blade in the Cricut Maker Machine, and you're going to be able to cut out and create all kinds of things. So I'm just kind of scrolling through to give you guys such a little sneak peek here of some of the fun things that we'll be able to try soon. So I did want to go in and show you a couple of, when you go in, how this is going to work. So I'm going to go here with the Tabletop Caddy, which is a Cricut Access project. So let's look at that real fast. And so you're going to see it looks like a Make It Now project. So there's a big picture up here, what it looks like. You can click down here and it'll show you, other photos of the project. Okay, and it'll tell you the name of the project. It's going to tell you that it's an intermediate project, and it's about 1 to 2 hours long, and it does let you know that project is designed for the Cricut Maker Machine. Okay, so you need to do this with the Cricut Maker. And then it gives you a description of the project. It'll give you the overall dimensions of your finished piece. It will also tell you the materials that you need to use to cut. Okay, so because this is a sewing project, it's going to let you know for this project they use floral fabric. There's 1/3 of a yard of it, and it was for the pockets. Then it says mint fabric, 1 yard, and that's for the top and the bottom. It even has some interfacing that you would need. It also lets you know about everything else you'll need to gather to make the project. So in this case, you will need a fabric grip mat. Those are the new pink mats that you'll start seeing. Those are only for fabric. Please only use those for when you're cutting the fabric or felt. All right, don't cut other materials on those. They have a special adhesive that is made specifically for the fabric. And the cool thing about it is that all you're going to do is spread the fabric onto those Cricut mats using your hands. You don't need to have a scraper and scrape it on or anything like that. And then as soon as it finishes cuts, you'll just remove it off with your hands. You will not use a scraper. You will not use a spatula with the fabric grip mats. Please do not do that. You will scrape off the adhesive and ruin your mat. The other thing about the new fabric grip mats is that you do not have to wash them or clean them. They are made for you to continually use them time after time after time after time again. And yes, you will see that it has fuzz on it from the fabric, or it has a thread on it or whatever. Just keep using it. I swear, we were using some at Cricut Mountain Makeathon, and I mean, they were pretty dirty looking, but you just kept putting the fabric on them and they held up great. Okay, so if at some point your mat gets so covered with stuff that you really, it's not sticking as well as you would like, Cricut also has a brayer that you would be able to use to actually even press the fabric a little bit more onto your mat. All right, so that's a little bit about the mats. They will be sold in a 2-pack of the 12 by 12. I think they're $16.99, and then there'll be a 12 by 24 mat that'll be $16.99. And in with your Cricut Maker machine, you will get one of the 12 by 12 fabric mats. Okay, so you'll get that, and you also get one of the regular light grip mats for other materials. All right, so this gives you an idea. It tells you need thread, you need your sewing machine, you know, that kind of stuff. Don't forget to have a needle for your sewing machine. And then it gives you some idea what you need, how do you need to prep your material to get it ready. It tells you about cutting it, and it lets you know if you're going to be using the washable fabric pen, which is the new pen. It's $2.99, and you will use that, and it will help mark your fabric pieces for where you will be doing your seam allowances and that type of thing. So then you're going to see here there are full color pictures, yay, and step by step of exactly what you would do to be able to put the project together once you cut everything out. Isn't that slick? Now, down here in the left-hand corner, it's going to let you know if there is a charge for that particular pattern. And this one, of course, because it's part of Cricut Access, and if you're a Cricut Access member, it will cost you nothing. Yay! All right, so the other thing I wanted to point out is when you go up here, if you would like to print this out and have it handy, there is now a printer icon so that you can send this directly to your home printer for it to print. Okay, let's take a look at this. I'm going to hit Make It, and it's going to sort it by the different pattern colors and so forth. And I wanted to point out here, see these light blue lines, these dashes, and the number, that is the pattern number. Just as if you were using a regular paper pattern, it instead will draw it onto your fabric using that Cricut washable fabric pen. So you want to make sure you grab one of those when it's available after the Cricut Maker machine comes out. All right, so it's going to do the little dashes on here. It'll draw solid lines. It will show you a pattern number, okay? If the number is the number that the is pointing, the direction it is pointing, okay, is the way that you need to put the grain of your fabric onto your mat, okay? So each, I guess, fabric has different grains, and so you will need to pay attention to, once you see what the where the numbers are on your mat, you will need to make sure that your fabric is put on that grain. Now, a lot of like cotton fabrics and stuff, typically, you know, it has an all over grain, so you don't necessarily have to do it that way, but it would certainly let you know the direction. Like if you have a certain pattern that you're using, you would want to make sure that you are paying attention to the pattern number and the direction that it's pointing, so that you put your fabric print in the correct orientation. Okay, so that's how that's going to work. Let's go look at a different pattern, and let's go look at one of the simplicity patterns. So we're going to pick this star pillow one, and there again, you're going to see that it has the star pillow. It lets you know it's a project for Cricut Maker. It's an intermediate. It's 1 to 2 hours. There is that little printer icon up here, so you could print out the spec sheet here. Gives you the dimensions, gives you, you know, the list of everything you're going to need to grab. It even gives you suggestions of the types of materials that would be great for using this with. And it lets you know how you're going to prep all your material. It lets you know your cutting instructions here, okay? and then it gives you some assembly instructions. Now for this particular pattern, it's a little more involved, so there is actually a full color PDF that you can print out as well. So let's look at that. That's the PDF and the PDFs. Look how pretty those are. Okay, this is just like if you bought a simplicity pattern at the fabric store and came home and opened up the package. You know, you always have these instructions that they put in. You will now have these in Design Space for these patterns. Isn't that cool? So it gives you general directions about, you know, your materials and putting things together, and gives you, you know, instructions. And you would be able, of course, to print this out as well. Let's go back to Design Space. So down here in the bottom of the sheet will be images that they used and so forth, and it lets you know it's simplicity pattern number 1291, blah, blah, blah. And here is the price. Down in the left-hand corner, it will show you the price for that pattern. That pattern will you will be charged $6.99 to purchase the pattern. Once you have the pattern, once you purchase the pattern, it is in your Design Space account, and you can use it over and over and over again, okay? So if you, and then you would hit make it. Now, I haven't purchased this one, so I can't go through that process with you guys, but it will put it on the mat for us to look at it. And so I did want to show you that, see, like on the stars that you're going to cut out, this blue line is where the fabric marker will draw that on there, so you know what your seam allowance. So the black line is where it's going to cut the fabric out, and then the blue line is where it's going to draw on the fabric, so you know when you go to sew the pieces that will come out in a star shape. Yay! And it lets you know which pattern numbers that you're using for your fabric. Okay, so it'll draw those on there too. So you'll have all of that right there at your fingertips. Okay, so this is pattern 3. It'll just keep, I'm just going through. There's some more pattern 3, pattern 3. This is pattern 3, but it has changed the direction. Okay, so it's letting you know when you see the direction. This one's a little hard to see. Let me see if I can find one that is easier for y'all to read it. Okay, so there's pattern 5. It's gonna draw the line here where those pieces are gonna be sewn together. I'm trying to see one where the number is in a different orientation. When your pattern number is facing up, like in the normal orientation here, you know that your fabric's going to be put on the mat in that orientation. If it is changed and it is facing the other direction, like here's a 3, but it's probably hard for y'all to see that on the screen. Here is a 3, but it's pointing to my right. Okay, so I would know I would want to make sure I put my fabric in that orientation, because that will be the grain of the fabric would be in that orientation. Okay, so that's a little bit about the sewing patterns, and have lots of fun looking through those. Start earmarking the ones you want to try as soon as you get your Cricut Maker Machine. There again, Cricut Maker Machine will be available starting on August the 20th at Cricut.com and also at other local retailers. The price of the Cricut Maker is $399.99, and you will also not only be able to cut out fabric and felt. Let me show you guys the felt one real quick, just so you can see. We'll just do this rose. But you'll be able to cut out felt. All right, and Cricut's actually going to be selling some felt products, so that'll be nice. And or you can purchase it at your local craft stores. And same thing with the felt. It gives you all the directions and everything you need to know. It even has an assembly video for putting those large felt roses together, so that'll be nice. One of the things that you'll be able to cut is not only fabric and felt, but you will also be able to cut wood projects with this. So there'll be other projects added to Design Space. It'll be able to cut leather. Here's one here. that is a leather project where this one's a particular sewing project because you would sew the leather to make shoes. But you'll be able to cut thicker leather. You'll be able to cut wood. I mean, there's a lot of different things you'll be able to cut using the different blades. Now, the Cricut rotary blade does come with the Cricut Maker machine. Okay, so when you make that purchase, you already get the rotary blade to enable you to do all these amazing projects. And it will come also with the normal Cricut Explore blade. That's our regular blade for cutting, you know, all the other materials, cardstock and vinyl and all those other things that we cut with our current Cricut Explore machines. You will also be able to cut those with your Cricut Maker machine. All right, I had a lot of questions about that. But there will be an additional tool that will be sold separately that is called the Cricut knife. Okay, and it's kind of like a deep X-Acto knife blade, and you would be able to use that for cutting out thicker materials like that's what you would use to cut the wood, the balsa wood and the birch wood and so forth. So I'll be showing you more about those as things come in. But look how fun. I am so excited to try some of these sewing projects. I'm going to have to blow the dust off my sewing machine because the part I hated was having to cut out all the pattern out of the paper and then put it on the fabric and then cut that out. It took me forever. And I am going to be making this two-tone penguin because I love penguins. So that'll probably be my first project you guys see me make. And anyway, let me know if you have any other questions about the Cricut Maker machine. Please come join us in my new Facebook group, which is Cricut Maker with Debbie O'Neill. And we are building up the excitement as we're all waiting for our Cricut Maker machines to be available. And I'm sharing information I learned at the Cricut Mountain Makeathon that I attended recently. All right. See you guys later. Have a great time. Bye.